selfish, just, whoa. Jesus says, I will spew thee out of my mouth. I can only give what I can share. I can only share what I've received. So I'm looking at these words. I always do Gematria on stuff. And Jesus said, I will. There's a beautiful W there. That's the I am. I got that gem when you do wedding vows. And I will spew thee out of my mouth. Because mouth equals Christ. It equals I am love. Out of my mouth. And then he says, because thou sayest I am rich and increased with goods. Oh, this is by far the Laodicean generation. We have increased with goods. Dead crud. I have increased with goods and have need of nothing. And he says, you know not that you are wretched and miserable and poor and blind and naked. Oh, that's painful. Isn't that painful? Honestly, if you want to cry, just try reading the words of Jesus again. Like, if you want to cry, just because of your own sin and your own weakness and your own crappiness, like, just read those red letters again and you'll just start crying. Because you're like, sometimes you feel like you can't do it. Sometimes you feel like you're just like, I can never do this. You're just like, this, Jesus, you're just like, this is such high morality. You just like, you just feel like crying. Like, you read the words of Jesus and you're just like, man, I suck. You're just like, and my whole country sucks. And like, the world sucks. You're just like, yeah, everyone sucks except Jesus. You're just like crying. You're like, it's like, we can't keep up with them. It's like kids in the toy room, or like kids trying to ride their bike behind dad. They just start crying. They're like, we can't keep up with you. It's just like, oh, it's too painful. It's just too painful trying to... Anyways, I'm just being honest, okay. Oh, it's challenging. Like, I think of small things like, I bought a tennis racket. I'm like, I enjoyed using it today, but I'm like, well, perhaps technically I could have not bought it and given the money anonymously to the poor. Maybe that would have been a wiser thing for me to do. It's, I'm like, I just, you start questioning so many things that you do. You're just like, to live wisely for eternity, man. And yet, I still do believe that it's a tough one. I do believe that there is good in like a game of tennis with a brother or sister for health purposes and for love, I guess. But man, I'm starting to think if you want to go the highest road, like if you want to choose the gold medal with how you spend your time and what you do with your money, I'm like, Mother Teresa was beyond epic. Like, that woman gave all of her physical energy to the poor. You're just like, whoa. So, I'm just trying to deal with the culture that I live in, which is very like, we really do worship sports and competition in this culture. I am rich and increased with goods. You know? You just feel like crying. I feel like crying when I read the Bible. Because you look at the Bible and the incredible highness of it. And then you look at your neighbors, and you look at the world, and you look at the guy down the street, and you look at the traffic, and you look at the... And the most satanic thing about it all is that people feel fine. And they think that, or at least they present themselves to, and they think that everything is tickety-boo. I got my job, I got my car, I got my kids. What more can I need? And it's like, well, there's a higher calling. It's called living beyond yourself. The high, like the high calling of Christ is sacrificial love, like self-sacrifice. Oh, it's painful to think of how high of a life you could live in sacrifice. It's very painful to think of. Most people cannot handle it. And that's why I cry when I read the Bible, because it's so high above the average person's behavior that it's so difficult to handle. You just want to please Jesus. Like when you imagine like that Jesus is real, he's the sweetest person there is, and you just want to please the guy. Like you just want him to like you. You just want him to really like you and like what you're doing. You just want to please Jesus and God the Father and the Holy Ghost. You just want to please God. I think one of the most painful things, though, is when you look at other people in your life and you see that you just see the things that they are and the things that they say and the things that they do that obviously are not pleasing God. And you've kind of ascended, I guess, into this shepherd slash leadership type role where now you're not just weeping for yourself, you're weeping for everyone everywhere. And I think that's the insane burden and the insane, like, I feel extreme pain for the poor decisions and the foolish decisions that I see just people making everywhere. Like, why did you do that? Why did you choose that over that? Why? Like, you could have pleased God more. You could have chosen. It's tear-jerking. As many as I love, I rebuke and chasten. I am a Gematria guy. I still like studying the Gematria and all these words. I've had a stressful week, folks, but that's the way it is. I feel perpetually, I feel angry. Anyhow. Crazy.